Gordon, what's up, brother? Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Morning, Edward. Morning, Turtle. Leandro. Mr. Lusker. Don't know how to say it properly, but good morning. Hopefully you guys stayed out of harm's way, buying gap ups yesterday. I tried to be, pretty matter of fact with you guys. I didn't want to see anybody, chasing nonsense gap ups in a down market. So, Paul, nice to see you, man. It's been a while. How are you? Yeah, hopefully you guys stayed out of trouble yesterday. Like I was saying, you absolutely do not want to chase gap ups in a down market. And, the market might be bouncing. And normally that's only known in hindsight, or at the very least, a market, that's above its own 200-day. So if the market's below its 200-day and you're out here chasing 6 and 8% gap ups, you just do that too often and you're going to get your ass kicked. So I'm glad that, you guys stayed out of harm's way. So that's important. Yeah, Paul, happy to be back, man. Happy to be back. I am mostly on Twitter. I haven't been twitching often, but I will be doing these pre-markets effectively every morning for the time being. So I don't see myself stopping doing them anytime soon. As long as I'm working, which is about, I probably only miss a handful of days of the trading year. So. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask. I'm just going to kind of scan the market. I already, have my own personal watch list, but I'm going to just kind of, chime in on the futures markets and make sure I'm not missing anything. And if you guys got any questions, feel free to chime in and ask. Looks like a pretty nothing burger kind of a morning. Gold is pretty flat this morning. Bitcoin's, up 0.5%, nothing crazy. The ES is down just a touch. The MQ's down just a touch. All the mega caps are down just a little bit. I mean, nothing too crazy one way or the other. Nothing jumping out at me. MSTR tried to break yesterday's highs. Down about 7 points off of its morning 3 a.m. highs. Again, nothing really jumping out at me this morning. You've got these crappy kind of names, like on no news or nothing, just making these huge moves. Seems like, shorts are kind of playing with fire. Bull looks like, Webull with a larger market cap than Hood there yesterday for a moment. And, that's just because it's a recent IPO and the WTF and the NMAX and even the CoreWeave, made these pretty outsized moves after IPO. So people, just chase up the next IPO and it just so happened to be Webull. But we know the inevitable. The inevitable is it gets its ass kicked. So, don't go chasing stupid stocks or you're going to win stupid prizes. What's my take on bull action? I just think, people see CoreWeave, people see WTF, NMAX, and they're looking for the next one. And the next one could have very well been, bull. And it was, right? I mean, this thing went from teens to 70. So, there's tons of money in there. I mean, I know plenty of guys who did awesome on it yesterday. So it's just, it's more common than you think. People out here just chasing, just chasing the next new IPO. That's all it is. That's my only thought on it. And then, there were shorts available. So just, some shorts get a little caught off sides and then, a short will cover and then it'll create the pop and then, it'll come back down and guys will short in the hole. And, it just creates kind of like this little squeezing situation. But, it's nothing. It's nothing at the end of the day. It's gonna collapse just like the other IPOs. Like Bull is not a better business than Robinhood. So, I don't even think that's my personal opinion. That's just factual. It's too bad. Netflix with earnings on Thursday. This one's getting interesting. United Healthcare needs some sideways. This one got to get back over the 50. McDonald's. Is this just a food stock or do they is this consumer defensive on its industry group? Let's see. Restaurants. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, guys, if you guys are in chat, you guys are welcome to post comments. And if I see them, I'm happy to answer them. If not, you guys can just hang out. Thanks for being here. Have I had success running the system you've had grown into while scanning for stocks in the $5 to $10 range? I'm confused about your question, brother. Mac, I'm a little confused. My thoughts on EAT? Let's take a look. EAT looks fine. You know, it is in the restaurant group. I wouldn't say a ton of them are acting awesome, but, you know, and I really don't love like doing downtrend lines. But, you know, if this thing can get back over the 50, this will look better. Get over $53. I think that would look pretty good. Right? This thing has been a monster. Now, you know, after a run like this, it needs a few months of sideways, of digestion. Let the 200 catch up, you know, let everything kind of tighten back up, you know, create a whole new base. You don't have to be the very first one in it, but it does look pretty good. Now, the thing you'd really want to do is, so you figure out Eats industry group, and we obviously know it's a restaurant, and we just got done looking at Mickey D's, right? So, you know, one of the things that we can do is we can look for stocks, you know, in the group that are, let's just say, over the 200 day. So we can kind of eliminate everything else that's crap. And what we have is, let's see, we've got McDonald's. We already saw that. We've got YUM. And this one just held its 200. Doesn't look too powerful, but, you know, there it is. You've got DRI. And this one looks okay, right? The 200's been in an uptrend for a little bit. Looks like it just broke out of a nice stage one base right down here. Right? Looks okay. Nothing special, but, you know, there it is. Domino's Pizza. Bros is one that I would be interested in. Domino's Pizza was also made like on a nice run a little while back. Yeah. Nice little run there. Pulled back, building a new base, getting back up above its 200. Domino's is fine. Bros. This is another restaurant stock. Jack, brother, nice to see you. Let me know when you want to hop on stream, man. It'd be cool to chat with you in the mornings. Give people some of your thoughts as well. Yeah, ATGE looks good. Over 107. I've actually got that one on my watch list. Yeah, Bros looks fine, right? I mean, again, a little steep of a pullback, but this is what happens to growth names during a market pullback. So, you know, don't be too weirded out about that. That's just what happens. Cake, is this Cheesecake Factory? I'm not actually sure. Oh, it is Cheesecake Factory. Yeah, me and my fiance, we single-handedly keep this place in business with the amount of cheesecake we buy every month. Kidding, but we do love our cheesecake from there. You get the single pieces. Are delicious. First Watch Restaurant Group, we go here a lot too. FWRG, I go here a bunch. Now, this place we probably do support single-handedly. Probably go here twice a month on the weekends. ADMA, I believe they're a biotech, so just be careful with the sizing. But yeah, I had a little setup right here that I was interested in. Triggered my alert yesterday, but I just left it alone. But yeah, it's just, you know, it's not only is it a biotech, it's not very thin for me, or it's a little thin for me. So, you know, 70 million bucks a day. It's fine, but it's not perfect. But yeah, food stocks look okay. I mean, they're not bad. Biotech, some biotechs keep popping up, you know, on my radar. ADMA was one of them. GE, super slow. ANET, SMCI. Oh, no. Yeah, no. E40, brother, this isn't, you're, for one, I'm short SMCI from 55. So there's nothing clean about this chart pattern here other than it's below the 200 day and I'm short. So, yeah. Definitely not clean. Definitely not in an uptrend. GE is fine, right? It's already made a huge move. Like the best setup on GE was way back here. Let me show you, because I was looking at it myself. It had just made a really nice move here. It pulled back, found support on the rising 200, popped right back up, and then went sideways right in here. You want to talk about tight? There you go. right? $52. But look at how slow this thing is. I mean, yeah, it tripled, but damn, it took forever. And you also had another nice setup in here. Right, again, a little sloppy, but you could have snuck yourself in right back around $90. So it got back through the 50, but here needs longer. ANET's kind of in the, it's fine, but it's in like the data center place. There's nothing clean about this. It's below the 200, right? This thing already made its move. You want to know when I was focused on this thing? Here you go. See this little line on earnings when the moving averages are pointing up, right? On earnings, gaps up, and the market had just given you a follow through day the very next day, right? This right here, as it was making new 52-week highs, was the market getting ready to give you a follow through day and just finishing up a 10% correction. Jack, my thoughts on the QQQ and the SPY is, after that huge day on Wednesday, I think that they're fine. But the thing that I really want to see is I want to watch these. I don't think that the SPY and the Qs are going to go higher if we can't start to see a bounce in Google, NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Tesla, Netflix, etc. Right? It's like you're going to need the biggest. Now, they might not be future leaders, right? And you're still below the declining 50. You're still below the, the downsloping 200. NVIDIA, same deal. So the real problem here is you're going to need these mega caps to push. But again, they're below a bunch of supply. So I've been interested in them. I've been trying to, play this bounce through them or through a TQQQ, but you're not going higher in the markets without them. So, that's why I am focused on other places too. There are stocks that have some halfway good looking setups, right? Like an ATGE where you would say, what market pullback, right? This thing's got an upsloping 200 for the longest time. Market's been pulling back. This thing's been going sideways. This looks ready to shoot out of there any moment now. And then on the other end of that, do I really want to own, these mega caps, maybe one or two of them, but, I'm more interested in like these younger names, like a Palantir, like a Toast, like a, SE potentially, Palantir, I guess could fit the bill. Hood is one that, I've kind of had my eyes on. Hood looks and acts pretty well, comes in, holds the 200. If it can get back over the 50, that would look good. But yeah, I have a hard time believing this market goes anywhere without the mega caps. So you're going to have to start to see like a bounce in NVIDIA and the others, Google, Microsoft, Apple, Meta. Otherwise, how the hell do we go higher? I don't know that there's enough waiting out there to take the markets higher, the SPY or the Qs. So the SPY maybe, but definitely not the Qs. They're too beta correlated, tech heavy. That's what they are. It's a tech ETF, and it's like all these mega caps are all basically tech names. So I don't know. I like the way Google was acting. I like the way Google was acting yesterday up until, kind of got beaten up there midday, but we'll see. It's I'm kind of on the fence here. I don't want to be pessimistic after a 20% downturn. The time to be pessimistic was when I was getting short a bunch of these names, right? Like when ESTC broke down on earnings, when NOW gapped down on earnings and then gave us a clean little bear flag in here. And this is in February, right? I don't want to be negative 2+ months later and this kind of a pullback, right? Otherwise I'm just being a total doomer, and I'd hope we start to bounce. I'm hoping we get stopped out. I get stopped out of the rest of my shorts, but it's a tricky situation. There's just not enough out there to carry us higher if not for these tech names. So, maybe individual names work on their own, but yeah, I've got Geo on watch too. I've got Geo on watch here. So I wanted to see Geo take out, this 3070 level, kind of creates like this little flat base, higher low over 3070 could look interesting. So yeah, Bracco, I'm definitely with you there, brother. Nice to see you too, man. We'll throw that up there. Yeah, GEO. Let me actually take a look at CXW. I have a hard time personally buying. What is CXW? I have an issue buying a Geo myself. Security and protections don't tell me they're like the same thing. Core Civic. Let me see. Oh, they do the immigration. Got it. Core Civic Properties. Oh, they're detention centers, basically. Oh, my God. I have a hard time buying these, man, because my past. So I've been in one of these before for 18 months. So, I mentally, being a Super Bowl on prison facilities. Have my scans changed? Yeah, well, really, your scans end up changing a little bit as, your portfolio gets a bit bigger. You got to trade names that are a bit more liquid. That's probably the biggest things that have changed. So, making sure that, that I am focusing on, things that are liquid, but really the process has been the same. Identifying, groups that are in the top 40 groups, identifying, clean technical setups, identifying what are kind of the daily patterns that I like to trade, and knowing, my entry tactics that I like to take with those daily patterns. And then trying my best to make sure that I'm aligning myself, in a good market or on the right day to buy these things. So, like yesterday we were talking about Palantir. Yes, it's fine. Yes, it's above the 50, et cetera, but the market's under the 200. I'm not going to be buying a, 7-8% gap up in Palantir in this kind of market, right? And same thing with an NVIDIA. I wasn't going to be chasing these gap ups, and for good reason. And you saw how they acted all day yesterday, right? So nothing really has changed too much about the way I find my stocks. It's just about which ones I'm trading, the liquidity in them, and things like that. So, yeah, keep that in mind. Keep your process the same. You just evolve as time goes on. Is it too late to buy gold miners HMY? So these were on watch for me as early as Monday last week. And, you had like these 50 SMA holds where they were, coming. So HMY, AGI was one that I had mentioned every single day, effectively Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So starting with this 50 SMA hold, I was watching gold names and mentioning them in the Discord every single day, Monday through Thursday. So I left them alone on Friday because if you didn't buy them Monday through Thursday, you're already late to the party. In particular with commodities, you would prefer to buy them off of a ascending moving average. So just be patient. Either it goes sideways for, a few days, or it pulls in a little bit and then you find a spot against an ascending moving average. But, don't be quick. Don't be quick to just jump on board, right? Just let it settle in. I still don't even think gold's too crowded. So, but one of the things you're probably going to want to keep an eye on is the dollar, right? If the dollar starts to bounce, you're probably going to get at least gold pulling back in. So, but with that said, I could see gold going, higher. I mean, it's in a beautiful, beautiful uptrend on pretty much every bigger picture time frame. So don't get stubborn with that, thinking that they've gone too high just because price has gone up. It's not crowded from a positioning standpoint. So it's one thing for somebody to say, oh, yeah, I really like gold here. Okay. It's another thing for somebody to say, yep, I own gold here. Well, if everybody said, yep, I own gold here, then it's likely it eventually pulls back and you've got a bunch of longs in there that would want to sell. But if nobody really owns it, right, dips are actually buyable because you've been waiting to get into the thing. But if you already owned it, then who's left to buy? I trade around daily moving averages, right? The SMA. So, the 5 is like where I start with, is the first one, but I don't really use the 5. I focus more on the 10, the 20, the 50, and the 200. And then I use like a 5-minute chart for my entries, but always thinking about, the daily picture. I like the 60-minute chart too, but for all my entries, it's typically on a 5-minute chart. And again, I'm focused completely on the daily. I don't really care about smaller time frames, and I don't look to scout moves. I got a coffee and a banana smoothie. Mm-hmm. You know, I saw MP yesterday. We actually pulled up TMC. It was on my gap up scan. We looked at it yesterday morning. Yeah, this was buyable yesterday. You know, this was buyable on the gap up, and it did something very similar to TMC. But I'm not looking at them today, right? Stuff like this, I'll need to reevaluate when this thing comes back into ascending moving averages. Is when I would consider this. But yeah, no, not here. I don't chase anything. If I miss it, I miss it. This is a 40-year career for me, so worried about what one stock does on one day. It's not very extended, by the way. This thing moves 12% per day. It's not extended at all. But yeah, I did notice them. There are all these alt metal mining. So it's nice to see TMC, USAR. It wasn't a UMAY, another one, something like that, or UAMY. What was the other one? I might be missing one. Yeah, UAMY. I mean, look at this thing. This thing's been a monster. It's up like 600% off the lows. More. This thing was at 17 cents. Now it's at $3. Holy shit. Yeah, I noticed them yesterday, but I am not positioned in them. So, unfortunately, they are going without me. Sucks, but can I do? Just keep them on watch. Wait for them to pull into ascending moving averages. That's the best thing you can do. And I really wouldn't trade like a UAMY. This trades less than $10 million a day. I mean, I've taken bigger positions before, so I'm definitely not buying a stock that only trades that much. MP is fine, but let it pull in a little bit. I mean, this thing trade fairly liquid. I mean, $100 million a day, it's plenty for me. Yeah, one of my favorite things to do for longing is what group and what stocks are acting best when the market's pulling back, and then when the market is really ripping, what stocks are acting weakest. So, when the market starts to turn up from some weakness, I already have the basket of stocks that have been acting best, and then those are the ones that I like to focus on. And then on the flip side of that, when the market is ripping, I like to have the stocks that have been acting weakest, so that when the market gives me a down day, and then those weak stocks start to, falter underneath key moving averages, those are the ones that I can short. So really I can play both sides of the market, and I play them fairly well. So, there's always opportunities to make money. You just have to recognize like when it is you're taking a setup. Focus on things that are super strong when the market's weak. Focus on things that are super weak when the market's strong. And that'll kind of put you in the right place. Yeah, MSTR is fine. It just needs to tighten up above the 50 SMA. It's gotten above the 50 SMA now once and then rejected. Right? It got above the 50 here. The March 24th, 25th, 26th, etc., and then failed, and then broke all the way back down to lows. And here we are back above the 50. Can it just start to actually set up cleanly? And then more importantly, can we see Bitcoin, start to bottom, get above its own 50? And then we've got this $92,000, neckline where it used to be support right in here. And then, does it show up as resistance? And again, don't feel like you've missed anything because you didn't buy the low tick on MSTR. Who cares, right? If this thing's actually going and Bitcoin's going to, 150, 200,000, you guys act like, oh no, I didn't buy MSTR at $250. I missed it. So, yeah, MSTR, it might be getting its testosterone back. Yeah, maybe. I don't know that I believe that just yet. It's yet to be seen. It can hardly stay above the 50-day. So anything that can't stay above the 50 days is low T, in my opinion. And yes, Paul, finding the tennis balls, brother. That is exactly right. Right? What stocks, go down in a market, and then as soon as the market just stops going down, they bounce right back. Those are your best stocks. Tennis balls. Trump speaking in the afternoon shouldn't make you nervous at all. If you're nervous of what your stocks are going to do because of what some other man says, then you're positioned too heavy, right? You're not focused on tight entries. You've got too much size and you're afraid to give back open gains, right? If you're worried about those things, you got too much size. Simple as that. You can't worry about any of that stuff, man. Follow your stops. Follow your key levels. What's your stop out spot before you get in? You should know your loss before you even get in. So it doesn't matter what he says. Whatever Trump says is irrelevant. If you have to trade on the whim of what somebody else is saying, you might never make it, honestly. Oh, man. Look at this thing. TMC. About to say it just hit my scan that it made a new high. Wow, what a beast of a chart here. Very nice, man. This thing is up it's cool. Almost 30% overnight. Now it's up 30% overnight. That's awesome. Yeah, the metals company, sub $1 billion market cap. I mean, I don't know that they deserve to be more. I don't know too much about their fundamentals. Now they're actually a $1 billion market cap after yesterday. 1.02, and now they'll be even more. They got 340 million share float. Now it's like a $1.2 billion market cap. Let's take a peek at their fundamentals. Looks like they don't have any. They don't got any earnings estimates going forward. That's funny. Yeah, I like Tesla. It's one that I'm not losing sight of at all. Problem is these mega caps just aren't acting perfect yet. But if this thing can start to take out 162.5, I'll be pretty interested. And then the real big spot that I'm watching is 290. If we can get over 290, for me, it's game on again, back over the 200. And I would start to get aggressive back over 290 personally. I do. You know what I like about Tesla is its relative strength recently. So you got to look at its March lows and the fact that when the market rolled over, this thing didn't make new lows, right? It undercut them for a moment and then reversed. And then now you got a couple of inside days. So, ideally, maybe 262s, 263 for a little cheat spot. And then, 290 for me is the big level. Over 290, back above the 200, back above the 50. I'm with Tesla. So. Is there hope for swing traders who's limited to overnight trading? Yeah, I mean, you got to understand your nice setup and then just use a limit order to buy yourself in and then have your stop, set it with your broker that your stop is, know your stop as well. So if your stop is prior day low, just size accordingly. So if you're looking for a breakout and it's a clean setup, set a buy limit order, above prior day high. If it gets filled, it gets filled. And then your stop is that prior day low. And then, just focus on charts that are tight where maybe your stop is like, 4% to 7%. And then, if you've got a 5 to 10% position on, then, your loss is very, very manageable in something like that. Don't think it can't be done, man. I know people who trade and they have full-time jobs. So it can be done. You have to want it to be done, but you have to study the setups that you know and you understand. Yeah, crowd is on my radar, mister. Crowd is definitely on my radar. Needed to break this upper trend line for me. 263 or 293 is where I would be watching it. But again, the group isn't perfect, right? Pan W is still below the 200. Z-scaler is way too whippy. Is that summer job still available? Who's asked? Is Gladiator asking? He can come be my caddy this summer if he still needs the gig. I might not get out and golf too much, but for the days I do go. No, I'm kidding. He's a good dude. I just wish he would have listened when I was telling him to not own that thing and not watch it go all the way down to 220. My whole goal here is to give you guys the same advice I would give myself. I don't want to see people lose, man. I want to see people win. Seeing people win is important. Baba, man, this thing gapped right over my 109 level that I wanted. That sucked. They just don't make it easy, do they? BJ was another one that we had on radar. We'll see if this thing wants to keep going. So thin. Sprouts. SE with a little 20 SMA rejection yesterday. Some decent looking setups out here in the market. Things are starting to look a little bit better. Like I said, I don't want to be, just negative. Don't want to be negative. Rather be optimistic after a 20% pullback than pessimistic. Appreciate it. Seek it. Well, if you're ever in Chicago, man, I'm in the burbs, but if you're ever out here. PM right back. This thing's almost even looking better now. Low failed breakout. Shook out a bunch of weak hands. Came right back up. We'll see what this thing wants to do. Yeah, these communication services stocks. So Verizon, AT&T, and there's one more. I forget. T-Mobile. well, I don't know their ticker symbol. TMUS. Tripping. Yeah, they all look really similar, and they're all on my 90-day relative strength scan, right? So oh no, that's Visa. Sorry, Verizon, TMUS, and then AT&T, and they all look pretty damn similar too. It's nice when multiple stocks in the same group are on my 90-day relative strength scan. Did I already look at TEM? Yeah, this is terrible. This looks absolutely disgusting. I mean, this thing drops 50%. You realize how many bag holders there are? Look at when the volume kicked in. Look at when the volume kicked in January. Effectively, everybody who's bought this thing since January is bag holding. It's disgusting. And it's got to get back over the 50. Right? I mean, at the very least, you're going to need this thing to clear, $60. I mean, remember, you don't need the lowest price, my guy. You want to know that you're in the right place with momentum, and it ain't here. I'll tell you that. Yeah, Pelosi bagged everybody. She bagged up everybody. Apologize, guys. I got my two dogs playing around behind me. Let me see if you guys can see them. Oh. But yeah, Pelosi bagged everybody. Yeah, this team looks like crap for now. I mean, could that change in the future? Yeah, probably, maybe, likely. But today, nah, and I'm not buying it. Don't ever be in a rush to own something just because it's gone down and you think mentally it's gotten too cheap. That's the worst mindset you can have. Focus on things in the top 40 groups with clean technical setups and good earnings and sales. You want your trading cheat code, that's it right there. Top 40 groups, there's 197 industry groups, the best technical setups, meaning above the 200 and the 50, things that are nice and tight, not extended from the 50. Buy it when it's in a healthy market. The least amount of overhead supply. Man, this Melly could really use a 10 for 1 or something. This Melly, I would love it if this thing was like $200. Fundamentals on this company are awesome. MP jumped up onto my 90-day relative strength scan. That's nice. It's nice to see. AROC or LOAR? Well, let's take a peek. AROC. First issue for me is it's too thin, so it's not usually stocks that I come across, or if I do, I just skip right over them. Oil and gas equipment services. Right now, that's a tough group to be in. I was bullish on some of these names, but then as soon as crude got whooped, LOAR, $50 million. Let's see, recent IPO. Aerospace and defense. Yeah, aerospace and defense names are acting better. So, this KTOS is exactly in that same sector. So it's nice to see that, LOAR is in that radar. I have been watching this KTOS, and I have been watching this DRS, also aerospace and defense. So, yeah, LOAR. Definitely feels like it's more in the right group. AROC, not so much. Yeah, I saw CRK still holding remarkably well, but I did have to, take my exit on it. So, but yes, it's holding well. So I was getting stopped out on 4.4. when it broke below prior day's lows and the 50 SMA. Can't argue with price, but if it can stay above, and crude oil can start to poke its head back, then I would be interested. Oh. Yeah, EQT, same deal. Yep. Yeah, these other ones though, like this ConocoPhillips got crushed. CVX got smoked. They all got hit. They all got beaten up. Oxy, DVN, XOM, severely bruised. Guys, good luck at the Open. Keep it in mind, I'll be doing these every single morning, and I will be back on tomorrow, same time, 7:30. So if you guys have any questions, just come prepared with a few questions if you have them. If not, we'll just go through the markets and figure out what the hell's going on, and make sense of, what we're seeing every single day. So be safe out there. Love you guys all. Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate you guys a ton, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Cheers.